Hello again and welcome to another episode of EDH gameplay brought to you by Affinity for Commander. My name is Martin.
And my name is Alex.
And today we have some exciting news for you all. But first, let's get straight into the game.
My commander is Mizzix of the Asmagus. I keep an opening hand of Thing in the Ice, Swan Song, Fact or Fiction, Whelming Wave, Wooded Foothills, Sulphur Falls, and an island.
My commander is Gishath, Sun's avatar. I start the game with a hand containing Priest of the Wakening Sun, Drover of the Mighty, Lifecrafter's Bestialry, Kadama's Reach, Explosive Vegetation, Selesnya Sanctuary, and a Mountain.
I won the dice roll and decide to go first. I play a Wooded Foothills, then tap and sacrifice it to search my library for steam vents, which I have entered the battlefield tapped. I lose a life from Wooded Foothills and then pass the turn.
In my turn, I play a Mountain and pass back to Alex.
I play Sulphur Falls and then cast Thing in the Ice, which enters the battlefield with 4 ice counters on it, and I then pass the turn.
For my turn, I play Selesnya Sanctuary, returning my Mountain to my hand. I then go to my end step, discarding Wakening Sun's avatar to reduce my hand back down to 7.
I play an island and then cast Swiftfoot Boots. I then pass the turn back to Martin.
I replay my Mountain, and then tap all of my land. I use the white mana to cast Priest of the Wakening Sun, and the remaining red and green mana to cast Drover of the Mighty. I then pass.
During my turn I fail to draw my land and am forced to pass, missing my land drop.
During my upkeep, I reveal Wayward Swordtooth from my hand, gaining 2 life from Priest of the Wakening Sun. I then play Gruul Guildgate and cast Kadama's Reach. Alex proceeds to counter this with Swan Song, removing an ice counter from Thing in the Ice, and gifting me with a 2/2 bird token. I then go to combat and attack with my Priest and Drover. Alex blocks the Priest with his Thing in the Ice and takes 1 damage. I then pass the turn.
I top deck a Noble Palace and play it. I then cast Mizzix of the Asmagus and pass the turn.
In my upkeep, I once again reveal Wayward Swordtooth and gain 2 life. I then cast Wayward Swordtooth, who can't attack or block as I don't have the city's blessing. I then cast Hull Breach, targeting and destroying Alex's Swiftfoot Boots before he gets a chance to use them. I go to combat and attack with my bird token, dealing 2 damage to Alex.
In my turn I play an island and then say pass like a good control player.
During my upkeep, I have no dinosaurs in my hand to reveal to Alex for the Priest's ability. I cast Explosive Vegetation, putting a plains and a forest into play tapped. I then go to combat and once again attack Alex with my bird. Unable to block, Alex takes 2 damage. In my end step, Alex casts Fact or Fiction, gaining an experience counter and removing another ice counter from Thing in the Ice. He reveals Izzet Signet, Void Snare, Overwhelming Intellect, Dismiss, and Counterflux. I choose to put the Overwhelming Intellect and Izzet Signet into one pile and the rest into another. Alex chooses to take the Signet and Intellect, putting them into his hand and the others into his graveyard.
I cast Izzet Signet and pass back to Martin with many blue sources untapped.
In my upkeep, I reveal Ranging Raptors, gaining 2 more life from the Priest of the Wakening Sun. I then cast Lifecrafter's Bestialry, which Alex swiftly counters with Dissolve. He gains another experience counter and removes the penultimate ice counter from the Thing in the Ice. He then scries 1 and puts the card on the bottom of his library. Not to be deterred, I cast Ranging Raptors, which Alex does not counter. This grants me the city's blessing, allowing my Wayward Swordtooth to attack and block. I go to combat and attack with Wayward Swordtooth, Drover of the Mighty, and my bird token. Alex blocks the Drover with his Thing in the Ice and takes 7 damage. I then pass the turn.
I draw a card for my turn and continue to pass without playing anything.
During my upkeep, I reveal Polyraptor from my hand, gaining another 2 life from my Priest. I then go to combat and attack with everything except for my Priest. Alex blocks my Drover with his Thing in the Ice and takes 9 damage from the rest of my creatures. I then cast Rishkar's Expertise in my second main phase, which Alex counters using Overwhelming Intellect. This gains him an experience counter and removes the final ice counter from Thing in the Ice, transforming it into Awoken Horror. This returns all of the creatures except for the Awoken Horror to their owner's hands, leaving me with an empty board. Alex then draws 6 cards from the Overwhelming Intellect. Feeling sore, I pass the turn.
In my turn, I play an island and then cast Thran Dynamo. I then recast Mizzix and move to combat. I attack Martin with my Awoken Horror for 7 damage. I move to my end step and have to discard down to 7. For this, I discard Dig Through Time and Pyromancer's Goggles.
In my turn, I replay Priest of the Awakening Sun, Drover of the Mighty, and Wayward Swordtooth. Alex counters the Swordtooth with Fuel for the Cause, gaining him an experience counter. He then proliferates his experience counter, giving him another one. I then pass the turn.
I play an island and then move to combat. I once again attack with my Awoken Horror, dealing Martin 7 damage. During my second main phase, I suspend Ancestral Visions, putting 4 time counters on it, and I then pass the turn.
In my upkeep, I reveal Ranging Raptors as being in my hand and gain 2 life. I then cast Trapjaw Tyrant, which Alex does not counter. I then pass the turn.
In my upkeep, I remove a time counter from Ancestral Visions. I then play a command tower and cast Darksteel Ingot. I then quickly realise how much damage I've actually taken from Martin's creatures, so cast Propaganda and attempt to stem some of that bleeding. I then pass the turn.
During my upkeep, I once again reveal Ranging Raptors and gain 2 life. I then cast Decimate, fully expecting it to be countered. Much to my surprise, Alex allows it to resolve, and I destroy Propaganda, Thran Dynamo, Awoken Horror, and Commands Tower. I then recast Ranging Raptors and go to combat. I attack with the Trapjaw Tyrant, which Alex does not block, dealing him 5 damage. I then pass to Alex.
During my upkeep, I remove another time counter from Ancestral Visions. I then cast Rhystic Study, which may as well say your opponent's spells now cost 1 more. I then pass the turn.
In my upkeep, I reveal Polyraptor from my hand and gain another 2 life. I play a mountain and then go to combat. I attack with everything except for the priest, to which Alex responds by casting Cyclonic Rift with its overload cost paid. This gains him an experience counter and once again returns my entire board to my hand. In my second main phase, I recast Priest of the Awakening Sun, playing an additional mana for Rhystic Study. I then recast Ranging Raptors, also paying the additional cost. I then pass the turn.
In my upkeep, I remove the second to last time counter from Ancestral Visions. I then pass the turn without playing anything.
During my upkeep, I reveal Polyraptor from my hand and gain 2 life. I then play a mountain and go to combat, attacking with the Ranging Raptors. Alex declares no blockers and takes 2 damage. I then replay Trapjaw Tyrant in my second main phase, which Alex responds to by casting Firemind's Foresight, gaining experience counter. He searches his library for Stroke of Genius and Stubborn Denial, realising that all of his 1-mana spells are either in his graveyard or on the battlefield. Alex then casts Disdainful Stroke to counter the Tyrant. In my end step, Alex taps out to cast Stroke of Genius, drawing 10 cards and gaining another experience counter.
During my upkeep, I remove the final time counter from Ancestral Visions and draw 3 cards. I then play a mountain, and then decide to destroy Martin's Priest of the Awakening Sun using Thunderous Wrath. I then attack Martin with Mizzix, dealing him 2 damage and 2 very relevant commander damage. During my main phase, I realised how low my life total had become and decided to cast Rite of Replication, paying its kicker cost to create 5 Raging Raptor tokens. I then move to my end step and have to discard back down to 7 by discarding 3 Islands, Terramorphic Expanse, and Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. When discarded, Kozilek's ability triggers and I shuffle my graveyard back into my library, and I then pass the turn.
In my turn, I play Drover of the Mighty, paying an additional mana for Rhystic Study. I then pass back to Alex.
For my turn, I play an island and then cast Ugin the Spirit Dragon. I +2 Ugin and deal 3 damage to Martin's Raging Raptors. This triggers its Rage ability and destroys it. Martin goes and finds a basic land and puts it into play. I move to combat and attack with my 5 Raging Raptor tokens and with Mizzix. In response, Martin flashes in Snapping Sailback. As he is unable to pay the extra mana from Rhystic Study, I draw a card. I don't counter this, unfortunately, and Martin moves to blocks. He blocks Mizzix with his Drover and one of the tokens with his Sailback. This destroys Mizzix and one of my tokens, and causes the Sailback and one of my tokens and range abilities to trigger. Sailback gets a +1/+1 counter, and I put a mountain into play tapped. I then pass the turn.
I start my turn by casting Gishath, Sun's Avatar, which doesn't get countered by Alex. I go to combat and attack Alex with all of my creatures, dealing him 15 damage and 7 commander damage, which wins me the game.
Before we end this episode, we have a few announcements to make about the channel. We have listened to the feedback from our viewers, and we will be recording some 4-player games for you to watch in the near future. Also, next week's episode will be something a little bit different, a podcast. For this, Martin and I will be discussing the various reasons why we believe that Commander is the best format to play in Magic the Gathering, along with some of our favourite experiences in playing EDH.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to see more like it coming soon. Feel free to tell us your opinions in the comments below and let us know how we can improve. See you next time!